The $30 salmon you ordered last night was actually rotting. And the restaurant used 3 tricks to hide it from you. Tricks that, if you knew, would make your stomach turn. Former restaurant workers are finally breaking their silence about the 7 techniques every chain uses to serve spoiled food to unsuspecting customers. And what they're revealing will change how you look at every meal forever. By the end of this video, you'll never miss these warning signs again, because what you're about to learn could literally save your life the next time you dine out. Let's start with the most common trick that fooled me for years. And once you know it, you'll spot it everywhere. When meat starts to smell off or develop that slimy texture that screams danger, restaurants don't throw it away. They drown it in sauce so thick you can't taste the rot underneath. A former line cook from a popular steakhouse chain shared this nightmare. We had a rule: if the steak smells questionable, double the sauce. Triple it if it's really bad. That signature steak sauce everyone raves about. Half the time it was just covering up meat that should have been in the garbage 3 days ago. But here's the truly disturbing part. They're not just using any sauce. They specifically choose heavy, overpowering flavors that mask the metallic taste and putrid smell of decomposing protein. Teriyaki, barbecue, heavy cream sauces. Anything that would overpower your taste buds, revealed a former kitchen manager. We joke that our sauce budget was really our spoiled meat budget. The more sauce we used, the more money we saved on throwing away bad ingredients. Health inspectors have caught restaurants using this technique repeatedly. One inspection report noted, observed kitchen staff applying excessive amounts of sauce to meat products that exhibited signs of spoilage, including discoloration and off odors. The customer impact is devastating. One family documented their experience after getting violently ill from perfectly seasoned chicken that was actually rotten underneath layers of honey mustard sauce. "It tasted so good going down," the mother wrote. "We had no idea we were eating decomposed meat disguised as gourmet food." Here's how to spot it. If your meat arrives swimming in sauce when you didn't order extra, if the sauce seems unusually thick or overpowering, or if you can't actually see the meat underneath the coating, send it back immediately. Your instincts are probably right. The second technique is so simple yet so effective that restaurants use it multiple times every single day, and you've probably fallen for it without even realizing. When food starts to spoil, it develops telltale signs. Strange smells, weird textures, and off colors that any customer would notice. Unless the restaurant serves it so blazing hot that it literally burns away your ability to detect the problems. We called it the nuclear option, admitted a former chef from a family dining chain. Spoiled chicken, questionable fish, meat that was turning green. We'd blast it with so much heat that customers couldn't smell or taste anything except burning. By the time it cooled down enough to notice problems, they'd already eaten half of it. But here's the scientific horror behind this technique. Extreme heat doesn't actually kill all the bacteria in spoiled food. It just masks the sensory warnings your body uses to protect itself from poison. The health department taught us that certain bacteria produce toxins that remain dangerous even after cooking, explained a former food safety inspector. So restaurants were literally serving customers bacterial toxins disguised as extra hot meals. The temperature shock method works because it overwhelms your senses. Your mouth is too busy dealing with the burning sensation to process the subtle flavors that would normally warn you about spoiled ingredients. One particularly disturbing case involved a seafood restaurant that served week-old fish, heated to over 200 degrees. Customers would compliment us on how fresh and hot the fish was, revealed a former server. They had no idea they were eating fish that had been rotting in our walk-in cooler for 7 days. The customer consequences are immediate and severe. Emergency rooms regularly see patients who consumed spoiled food that was served at extreme temperatures. They always say the same thing: noted one ER doctor. It was so hot I couldn't really taste it, but I thought that meant it was fresh. Here's your protection. If food arrives so hot that you can't immediately taste it, let it cool down before taking another bite. If it develops strange flavors, weird smells, or unusual textures as it cools, stop eating immediately. This next technique is pure psychological manipulation, and it's so effective that even food critics fall for it regularly. Restaurants discovered that customers judge food quality by what they see first, so they pile fresh, colorful garnishes on top of spoiled ingredients to create the illusion that everything underneath is equally fresh. We'd take lettuce that was brown and slimy, cover it with fresh cherry tomatoes and herbs, then charge $15 for a garden-fresh salad, revealed a former prep cook. Customers would see the bright red tomatoes and green herbs and assume everything else was just as fresh. But the garnish deception goes much deeper than wilted salads. Restaurants use this technique on their most expensive items to maximize profits from ingredients that should be thrown away. Spoiled fish gets covered with fresh lemon slices and parsley, explained a former seafood restaurant manager. Rotten beef gets topped with fresh mushrooms and onions. The fresh garnish tricks your brain into thinking the whole dish is fresh, even when the main ingredient is decomposing. The visual psychology is devastatingly effective. Your brain processes the bright, fresh colors first and makes quality assumptions before you even take a bite. By the time you taste the spoiled food underneath, you've already been psychologically primed to expect freshness. Health inspections have documented this practice extensively. One report noted, kitchen staff observed placing fresh garnishes on meat products, showing clear signs of spoilage, creating misleading visual presentation that could deceive customers about food quality. The financial incentive is enormous. We'd save hundreds of dollars a day by garnishing spoiled food instead of throwing it away, admitted a former restaurant owner. Fresh herbs cost pennies, but spoiled steaks cost us $30 each. The math was simple: deceive the customer and keep the profit. Customer horror stories are heartbreaking. One anniversary dinner turned into a hospital visit when a couple ate beautifully presented lamb that was actually rotten underneath fresh rosemary sprigs. "It looked like something from a cooking show," the husband said. "We never suspected the meat was spoiled because everything else looked so fresh and professional." Your defense strategy: look past the garnish. Gently move aside the fresh herbs, vegetables, and decorative elements to examine the actual protein or main ingredient. If it looks discolored, slimy, or questionable, trust your eyes over the pretty presentation. Here's where restaurants get truly devious. And this technique is so widespread that former employees say it happens at virtually every chain restaurant in America. When ingredients start to spoil, restaurants don't throw them away. They mix the bad with the good, hoping customers won't notice the contaminated portions hidden throughout their meal. We'd take ground beef that was turning gray and smelled off, then mix it with fresh beef in a 50-50 ratio, revealed a former burger chain cook. Customers would get some bites that tasted normal and some that tasted weird, but they'd usually blame it on seasoning or assume they were imagining things. But the mix and hide strategy extends far beyond ground meat. Restaurants use this technique with vegetables, seafood, dairy products, and even baked goods to stretch spoiled ingredients as far as possible. Spoiled lettuce gets mixed with fresh lettuce in salad mixes, explained a former salad prep worker. Sour milk gets mixed with fresh milk in coffee drinks. Moldy cheese gets mixed with good cheese in pasta dishes. The fresh ingredients mask the spoiled ones just enough to fool most customers. The bacterial contamination spreads throughout the entire dish. When spoiled ingredients get mixed with fresh ones, the bacteria from the rotten food contaminates everything it touches, turning your entire meal into a potential health hazard. We'd have customers complain that their food tasted funny or had an off flavor, said a former restaurant manager. But since it wasn't completely inedible, most people would just eat around the bad parts or assume it was a seasoning issue. They had no idea they were eating intentionally contaminated food. Health inspectors have documented this practice, causing widespread foodborne illness outbreaks. One investigation traced a salmonella outbreak to a restaurant that was mixing spoiled chicken with fresh chicken in their signature chicken salad. The economic incentive is massive. Instead of throwing away 50 pounds of spoiled ground beef, we'd mix it with 50 pounds of fresh beef and serve 100 pounds of contaminated meat to customers, admitted a former kitchen manager. We'd save money and customers usually couldn't tell the difference until they got sick later. Customer impact stories are terrifying. One family reunion was ruined when 12 people got food poisoning from a taco bar, where spoiled beef had been mixed with fresh beef. Some tacos tasted fine, others tasted strange, one victim reported. We thought it was just inconsistent seasoning. We had no idea we were playing Russian roulette with every bite. Protection strategy. If your food has inconsistent flavors, textures, or smells throughout the dish, stop eating immediately. Fresh, properly prepared food should taste consistent from bite to bite. Variation often means contamination. This technique is so psychologically manipulative that it works even when customers are actively looking for problems. And most people have no idea they're being visually deceived. Restaurants discovered that dim, warm lighting can hide the visual signs of food spoilage that would be obvious under normal lighting conditions. So, they deliberately designed their dining rooms to conceal food quality issues. We kept the dining room lighting as low as possible without making it completely dark, revealed a former restaurant designer. Under those conditions, gray meat looks pink, brown lettuce looks green, and moldy bread looks fresh. Customers literally can't see what they're eating. But the lighting deception goes beyond just dimness. Restaurants use specific color temperatures and lighting angles that make spoiled food appear fresh and appetizing. Red and orange lighting makes old meat look fresh and juicy, explained a former lighting consultant who worked with restaurant chains. Blue lighting gets filtered out because it would make spoiled food look obviously rotten. Everything is calculated to hide decay and enhance the illusion of freshness. The visual manipulation is scientifically designed. Restaurant lighting systems cost thousands of dollars, specifically because they're engineered to deceive customer perception about food quality. We had lighting consultants come in and test different bulbs with actual spoiled food, admitted a former chain restaurant executive. They'd place rotten meat under different lights until they found the combination that made it look acceptable. Then we'd install those exact lights in every location. Health inspectors have noted how lighting affects their ability to assess food quality during inspections. We started bringing high-powered flashlights because restaurant lighting was so deceptive that we couldn't properly evaluate food safety, said a veteran health inspector. The customer deception is comprehensive. Customers would eat spoiled food and compliment us on how fresh and appealing it looked, revealed a former server. They had no idea that under normal lighting, their meal would have looked like something from a horror movie. One documented case involved a romantic restaurant where couples regularly got food poisoning from spoiled seafood that looked fresh under the carefully designed lighting. The ambiance was so perfect that customers never suspected the food quality, noted the health department report. The financial benefit is enormous. Instead of upgrading our food quality, we just upgraded our lighting system, admitted a former restaurant owner. For the cost of new light fixtures, we could serve lower quality ingredients without customer complaints. The return on investment was incredible. Your protection method. Use your phone's flashlight to examine your food before eating. The bright, white light will reveal discoloration, texture problems, and other signs of spoilage that restaurant lighting is designed to hide. If your food looks questionable under phone light, don't eat it. This technique is so aggressive that it literally assaults your taste buds to prevent you from detecting spoiled ingredients. And it's become the go-to method for hiding the most severely contaminated food. When ingredients are so spoiled that other techniques won't work, restaurants deploy what former employees call the spice bomb. Overwhelming amounts of strong spices and seasonings that completely mask the taste of rotting food. We had a spice mixture we called the eraser because it could erase the taste of anything, revealed a former spice prep worker. Spoiled fish, rotten chicken, moldy vegetables. If we hit it with enough cayenne, garlic powder, and MSG, customers couldn't taste the decay underneath. But here's the terrifying science behind this technique. The spices don't actually make spoiled food safe. They just overwhelm your taste receptors, so you can't detect the warning signals your body uses to protect itself from poison. Customers would eat completely rotten meat and compliment us on our bold seasoning, said a former kitchen manager. They had no idea they were consuming decomposed protein that had been chemically masked with industrial-strength spices. The spice combinations are specifically designed to target different types of spoilage. Fishy smells get covered with lemon pepper and paprika. Sour meat gets hit with barbecue seasoning and brown sugar. Moldy vegetables get buried under Italian seasoning and garlic salt, explained a former head chef. Health inspectors have documented restaurants using this technique to serve food that was weeks past its expiration date. One inspection found chicken that had been sitting in a walk-in cooler for 12 days, covered in so much seasoning that it looked like a different food entirely. The customer health impact is devastating. Emergency rooms see regular cases of severe food poisoning from heavily spiced restaurant meals. Patients always say the same thing, noted one ER physician. It was so spicy I couldn't really taste the food, but I thought that was normal for that type of cuisine. The economic motivation is pure greed. Instead of throwing away hundreds of dollars worth of spoiled ingredients, we'd spend $5 on extra spices and serve it all to customers, admitted a former restaurant owner. The profit margin on rescued, spoiled food was incredible because we'd already written off the ingredient costs. One horrifying case involved a family celebration where 8 people were hospitalized after eating extra spicy chicken that was actually rotten underneath layers of cayenne and chili powder. The seasoning was so intense that we couldn't taste anything else, one victim reported. We thought it was just authentic ethnic cooking. We had no idea we were eating decomposed meat. Your defense strategy. If food is so heavily spiced that you can't taste the actual ingredients underneath, be extremely suspicious. Fresh, quality ingredients don't need to be buried under overwhelming seasonings. If you can't identify the base flavors of your protein or vegetables through the spices, don't eat it. The final technique is the most visually deceptive of all, and it's so effective that even experienced food critics and health inspectors can be fooled by this carefully orchestrated illusion. Restaurants discovered that customers only examine the top layer of their food, so they place fresh, appealing ingredients on top while hiding spoiled, contaminated ingredients underneath where customers won't see them until it's too late. We'd take a salad bowl and put fresh lettuce on top, but underneath would be lettuce that was brown, slimy, and starting to decompose, revealed a former salad station worker. Customers would see the fresh green leaves on top and assume the whole salad was fresh. They'd eat halfway through before realizing the bottom was rotten. But the fresh on top scam extends to every type of food service. Buffets, sandwich shops, and even fine dining establishments use this technique to maximize profits from ingredients that should be discarded. Fresh fruit on top of moldy fruit in fruit salads, explained a former buffet manager. Fresh bread on top of stale bread in bread baskets. Fresh vegetables on top of wilted vegetables in stir-fries. The pattern was always the same: make the top look perfect and hope customers don't dig deeper. The layering technique is psychologically devastating because it exploits natural human behavior. Most people sample from the top of their food and make quality judgments based on those first few bites, never realizing that the bulk of their meal is contaminated. We'd watch customers take their first bite, smile with satisfaction, then continue eating without examining the rest of their food, said a former restaurant observer. By the time they reached the spoiled layers underneath, they'd already committed to the meal and would usually just eat around the bad parts rather than complain. The buffet application of this technique is particularly horrifying. We'd put fresh items on top of food that had been sitting out for hours or even days, revealed a former buffet attendant. Customers would see the fresh layer and assume everything underneath was equally fresh. They had no idea they were digging into a bacterial time bomb. Health inspectors have documented this practice, causing massive foodborne illness outbreaks. One investigation traced a norovirus outbreak affecting over 200 people to a restaurant that was layering fresh lettuce over contaminated lettuce that had been sitting in the walk-in cooler for over a week. The financial incentive drives this deception at every level. Instead of throwing away 50 pounds of spoiled salad mix, we'd buy 5 pounds of fresh lettuce to put on top and serve all 55 pounds to customers, admitted a former produce manager. We'd save hundreds of dollars per day, while customers thought they were getting fresh, quality ingredients. The sandwich shop version is equally disturbing. Fresh meat on top, spoiled meat underneath in sandwich stacks, described a former deli worker. Fresh cheese on top, moldy cheese underneath in cheese displays. Customers would see the appealing top layer and order confidently, never knowing what lurked beneath. One documented case involved a catering company that served a corporate event where 150 people got food poisoning from layered pasta salads. The top inch looked fresh and delicious, one victim reported. But as we ate deeper, the pasta became slimy and smelled terrible. By then, most of us had already consumed enough contaminated food to get violently sick. The most insidious aspect is how this technique trains customers to stop examining their food. People learn to trust the visual presentation and stop looking closely at what they're eating, explained a food safety expert. Restaurants exploit this learned behavior to serve increasingly contaminated food without detection. Your ultimate protection strategy: always examine your entire portion before eating. Gently stir salads, separate layered items, and look at the bottom portions of your food. If there's a quality difference between the top and bottom layers, if colors or textures change as you dig deeper, or if smells become stronger when you disturb the food, stop eating immediately and demand a fresh meal. These 7 tricks are a betrayal of customer trust. Restaurants hiding spoiled food to protect profits while risking your health. But now you know exactly how to spot it. Look past heavy sauces, extreme heat, pretty garnishes, and overwhelming spices. Trust your instincts, check your food, and never be afraid to send it back. Every time you refuse to eat contaminated food, you send a message that safety matters more than shortcuts. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe for more exposés that reveal what restaurants don't want you to know.